Hello, Power Up Nation. Pat Council here. It has been a few weeks, but you know what? Sometimes it's good to be silent. We're going to talk about that in another podcast. I have been being still and taking a step back and looking at everything that has been going on in our country, in our world, just being still and observing. Not at the same time, of course. Anyway, today we are going to talk about why you are built to set and achieve goals. It's coming towards the end of the year. So one of the things I decided to do in all of my silence and listening to what was coming up through my spirit is I'm going to bring you 51 days of strategies for goal setting and achievement. And with that, there's going to come some great recommendations, some webinars that you can attend, some free webinars, and just things that I believe will help you to be more successful. Of course, the object of the game is for you to be committed to doing the work and really set out to make something amazing happen. So before we get into our topic for today, I guess I'll just tell you right up front, you can go to designingyourlifetoday.com/upcoming webinars. Of course, there will be a link in the show notes, and you can register to receive an invitation to my upcoming webinar. And it's called Prosperity, Your Divine Right. I mean, when I took a step back to observe things, to look, to listen, we hear a lot about making money. We hear a lot about how to get rich and these kinds of things. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with having wealth. However, that's not where it begins, you guys. This is why so many people, in spite of all this amazing information that's out there, so many people are not actually achieving the wealth that they desire. So having not had money when it first started out years ago and having to build from nothing, well, not quite nothing, but very little, pawning things. And I've shared that story before a few times on this podcast, but having to build, I know what it takes and I learned some things. And then having to rebuild, I learned even more things. So I want to share that information with you because we seem to make becoming wealthy or having that prosperous lifestyle all across the board. And prosperity is not just about money, but having that prosperous lifestyle. We seem to make it so difficult. So I think things become easier when we're taught the truth, when we're taught this is how you really get the things that you desire in life. And then all of a sudden we go, okay, wait, it turns out I am built by design to win. And so I want to share some information and give you some insight into that. And it's going to be a great webinar. I've done it a few times before. And I can tell you each time I've done it, I get some really great feedback and it's actually helped some people, quite a few. Okay, so with that being said, go to designingyourlifetoday.com/upcoming webinars and go ahead and register to get your name on the list. You'll see it right there. There's a yellow box that says get on the list for Prosperity, Your Divine Right. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Remember, this is going to be 51 days of strategies for goal setting and goal achievement. So every podcast I'm going to be sharing with you, it's going to be information that will help you establish a very strong foundation that would actually help you achieve some goals still in 2024. But as we go into the next year, 2025, you will definitely have goals set in a way that will help you to get on track for achievement. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about why you are built to set and achieve goals. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because it's almost like people are looking for some kind of marketing ploy or to do something different or make it sound like some things work and some things don't because it makes them sound more like experts. Not going to call any names, but I've heard some people say, well, I don't set goals. I set objectives. Well, the minute you start to think about the results that you want or the end game, that's a goal. Okay, that's a target. And that's what a goal usually is. It is a target. And in between that, in other words, from the minute you think, for example, if you say, I want to earn $10,000 within 30 days or 7 days or 5 days or less for that matter, whatever time frame you put on it. So you put an amount, all right? So you have determined kind of a time frame that you want to do that. And then after you have decided this is what I hope to accomplish, which that is a goal, then you do objectives. Okay, so that's your plan of action. So I don't know why people want to make it out to be more than what it really is, you guys. But let's talk about why you are built to set and achieve goals. And of course, I want to share from a more biblical, spiritual perspective. So first of all, we were all created in the image of God. And of course, God was extremely creative. I mean, how do you create the heavens and the birds and the fish and all of these different types of animals? How do you create all of this to include human beings who are made in his image? How do you do that and not be a creative being? So the point that I'm making is if it says we're created in his image, that means that we were created to imagine, we were created to attract, and we were created to build. Now, the reason why I said attract and not that we were created to create is because everything that we need has already been created. We are just kind of finding the pieces, if you will. So if you want to call that creation, if you say, oh, wow, I just built a car. I created a car, and this is before cars existed. And you say, wow, look, I actually created a car. Well, if you notice, they usually say they invented a car. And of course, when I look up invent, it says to create or design. So I think we design things because to design means that I take this piece that I found over here, I take this piece and that piece, then I put this all together and I make it into this vision that I have in my mind, this creative vision. Because as human beings, we are very creative. So we were all built to imagine and attract and build something. And that's why one of the, I guess, slogans, if you will, is for Designing Your Life Today and my company, Power Up Nation, is that you're built by design to win, because it is inherently in all of us to want to put something together that means something, that matters to us, and that will actually help other people. So when we talk about putting something together that means something, and notice I said that matters to us. Sometimes people just want a nicer house or a new car or more money for whatever reason. So sometimes they want these kinds of things. And as a result, that's a goal. Okay, so it's how you're built. I think without any person who has no goals, and you may know someone that's like that, that's usually a person who's complaining and who's always blaming someone else for their life and how things aren't working out, because they have not tapped into the amazing abilities that they have. And one of the greatest abilities that we have is to be able to imagine something. Now, before I go on, I want to say this. Our imagination is constantly being usurped by television, okay, movies, the news, and these kinds of things. And this has nothing to do with anything, but it kind of popped into my head, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Have you noticed that I guess Marvel and they've lost the right to use, or the superhero trademark or copyright, or it's trademark actually, I think. And I saw that in a headline on the internet, and I thought, you know what? So this means that they can't use the superhero. I don't know the story. I didn't read it. But what came to mind is that our imagination, our ability to think creatively is constantly being usurped by others. So if you kill the concept of superheroes, you can start to convince us that we're all just everyday average Joes. I've seen different, let's say, products or coaching materials where the part of the marketing says to turn the ordinary person into the extraordinary. And I always think to myself, teach his own, but I take exception to the fact that that person has the audacity to call anybody ordinary. Wow, if we're made in God's image, none of us are ordinary. We're extraordinary. It's just that we have to use what we have so that we can start to win. So this is why we're built to set goals, because that's where it begins. It begins with you having some kind of vision in your mind and what kind of outcome that you see in your mind. To me, that is a goal. Now, the objectives are the steps. Okay, to me, that's a plan of action. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But the first thing is that we are built to set and achieve goals. Why? Because we're created to imagine, attract, and build. So if you're created to imagine, attract, and build something, then that means that it's within us to want to achieve. And if we weren't meant to achieve things, why is it people constantly want something different, want something new? Even television shows that stay on for so many seasons, after a while, the ratings go down because people get bored. They want something different. They want something new. So as I said, your creative ability and your imagination, it's being usurped by television. So you look to television and go, okay, you need to stimulate me in a different way now. I need more sensationalism, but I need it in a different way. With here recently, we had, I think it was Hurricane Helene, and here's the thing, when that was happening, the news kept showing all the doom and gloom. And of course, here in Jacksonville, it drizzled. And that does not mean that the hurricane didn't hit other places in Florida, because it did. But the point that I'm making is they kept showing this. And people kept imagining the worst. People who didn't live in Florida, they kept imagining that we were all just in such dire straits. And while some people are, a lot of us aren't. And I'm not making light of kind of the catastrophe. I'm trying to illustrate a point here, and the point that I'm trying to illustrate is that we need to really be good stewards over our own imagination and stop allowing television shows and different television shows and, of course, the news to kind of cause us to imagine the worst. As human beings, we're here to imagine the best. This is why Paul tells us to think on what's honest and what's good, and tells us to think of pleasant things. And it says, whatever is noble, think on these things. He doesn't say think of every catastrophe, get worried about every disease, think on that. And so the point that I'm making is, when you're not setting goals, when you have no kind of vision of any kind for your life, at that point, well, it's easy for anyone to come in and give you a vision, first of all, and that vision is not going to be to your benefit. So think about that. So first of all, as I said, we were created to imagine, attract, and build. That's why you are built by design to win. So here's the next one. The other reason that you are built to set and achieve goals is because God made it pretty clear in Genesis, the very first book in the Bible, when he told us to be fruitful and multiply. And so, and that's both men and women. And this, again, is, I'm not about being politically correct, you guys, but it does say, male and female. He blessed both. And so each person has their role. Each person has something to do. There are, whether you are a male or female, you should be setting some kinds of goals. Even the Proverbs 31 woman had a business. So I want you to think about these kind of things. What kind of thoughts are you having? Lately, everybody's worried about what's going to happen as a result of the election. And in my mind, I'm thinking, instead of worrying about that, okay, first of all, do your part. That's the first thing. But secondly, instead of sitting around worried about that, put your attention on your God-given purpose. Why are you here? What are you here to do? What are you here to attract? Or you can say create, doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not in control of that. You are, and I believe in the whole free speech thing. So why are you here? Put your attention on that, okay? Because that's a part of being fruitful and multiplying. So when you think about if you really need to take the time to set a goal, I can't imagine, how can you come up with objectives to something, step-by-step objectives, and you have no end game? Okay, my objective is to do what? Oh, wait, it's to earn $10,000, as I said, 5 days, 2 days, whatever. Okay, that's the objective. But here, and since that's, I guess, my objectives, let me come up with the steps to make that happen. Okay, so, or the end result is to make 10,000, but I'm going to call it an objective. Either way, it's a goal. Okay, so the point that I'm making is you are built to set goals, and the mere fact that you think it, okay, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so if you've bought into this idea that this is what you're capable of doing, or this is what you truly desire, which means if it's in your heart, you're willing to do the work. So if that's the case, that means you're built to achieve it as well. Now, part of achievement means that a lot of times when we set goals, that to achieve something we've never done before, we have to learn some new information. And you know what's funny? Okay, it's not really funny. I don't mean that literally. The funny part is that when people set these goals and they truly want to make these things happen, but when they realize that they need to learn something different, then they start to shrink back and think, you know what? This is too much work. Understand this. These are the people who are unsatisfied about life. These are the people who end up worrying about how they're going to pay their bills. These are people who end up complaining about everything that's going on. These are also the people that put their lives in the hands of a bunch of politicians. So these are adults putting their lives into the hands of other adults. So no judgment, just stating some facts here. So the point that I'm making, though, but when you are learning something new and opening up and realizing how capable you truly are, how magnificent you are, then guess what? Now you're going to do what it takes and learn what you need to learn and take the kind of actions you need to take and start achieving goals. And you're going to feel very good about yourself, really excited about who you are. You're going to feel magnificent, and you're going to embrace the fact that, wow, I can do some great things here. And especially if it aligns with your God-given purpose. Now you're feeling so fulfilled and worthwhile. So this is why we are all built to set and achieve goals. So be fruitful and multiply. And finally, when it comes to setting goals, and again, I know I am being very, I guess, biblical, if you will. The Bible tells us to write the vision and make it plain. Now that's Habakkuk. I usually say it wrong, but I think I said it right this time. And so that's in the Bible as well. To write the vision and make it plain. Now think about this. Writing the vision is a form of setting goals. Okay. And here's the thing. When you write the vision, it's easier and it's more inspiring when you can see yourself, in a sense, designing your life. Because whatever goal you set, it's going to be a part of who you are. It's going to be a part of your life. So you are designing a part of your life. And when it is connected to your God-given purpose, Now you are super excited about life and you're really inspired. Okay. And at this point, you might be a little bit, apprehensive about it, but you know what? Your confidence is going to grow because it's connected to your God-given purpose. And I go back to saying you're going to learn some new things. You're going to expand your thinking and you're actually going to evolve into the person that you were meant to be. So listen, we are built to set and achieve goals. Okay, so when it comes to setting a goal, the key is to look at your talents and connect it to your calling. And so when you can do that, now you are really fulfilled and you are really excited about who you are and where you're going. If you show me a person that does not take the time to set goals, again, I'll show you a person who complains, who whines, who's uninformed in a lot of cases. And if I sound a little bit judgmental, that's not my intent. Okay, my intention is not to be judgmental because it's kind of not my thing, you guys. But I want to be very open and honest with you about goal setting. Yes, you do want to take the time to set goals. Okay, don't overthink it. I mean, just set a goal for goodness sake, and then make a commitment to yourself that you are going to achieve the goal, that you're going to learn what you need to learn, do what you need to do, because it's just amazing when you set out to do something and you see, and let's just call it your creation. Okay. Because you've taken all the tools that you've been given, by God, because he's put everything here for you. And you've decided that you're going to go in search of, you're going to bring all this together and then you're going to come up with a finished product that's going to allow you to do what? Expand your thinking and improve your confidence. And guess what? Now you're going to set a goal that's even bigger and better. So I want you to really embrace the idea that, first of all, you are built by design to win. Okay. And before you know it, this is how you begin to do life with power. You're coming from that position of power, not a position of weakness, because you have to use the mental faculties and all the gifts and talents, or a lot of them that you have, in order to achieve those goals. So as human beings, it's why we're here, you guys. So with that being said, I want to remind you guys, you can check the show notes, and I want to remind you about the upcoming webinar that I have, and it's coming up this week. So be sure you get on the list. You will get your invitation. It's going to be this week, and then we're going to have another one next week. So you'll get your invitation. You can pick your date, and we can go from there. So with that being said, that's all I have for you guys today. Stay tuned for more, because we're doing 51 days of strategies for goal achievement and goal setting, and along with some great recommendations. Hey, you guys, do life with power, because you are built by design to win.